Now, Buddy, can you spare a dime or a penny or any cash? Because our Don't Kill Cash campaign has now reached more than 51,000 signatures. The petition has been launched by us this week to prevent Britain becoming a cashless society.
The petition is on our website, gbnews.com/cash. Or if you've got a smartphone, use it to click on the QR code on your screen right now to take you to the petition.
Well, let's talk now to our economics and business editor, Liam Halligan, with On the Money, or is it With the Cash? And of course, you're a man who doesn't have to carry cash anymore, are you? But, I mean, joking aside, I mean, this is a real issue that seems to have struck a chord with people.
It is. I mean, this petition, we literally launched it overnight. Our fabulous digital team here at GB News launched this petition. We wanted to get to 100,000 over a number of weeks because then we can apply for a parliamentary debate. Yeah. And the indication is from quite a few parliamentarians they'll be willing to take it up. But in less than 24 hours, we were already at 51,000 we just went over. That is pretty astonishing. And, you know, some of the emails and tweets we're getting are along the lines of, oh, just get with the modern age. Why do we need cash these days? Everybody can use digital. But that's the point. A lot of people can't use digital. Older people, people who aren't tech savvy. There's also the whole privacy issue. Do we want every single transaction that we make to be monitored potentially by the state?
I mean, I was reading that there's over 5 million adults still rely on cash.
Yeah.
Do you think it is a little bit of an age thing? And I asked that because I found £5 in my purse, £5 note, and I was like, wow, haven't seen that for months.
Yeah, a lot of us aren't using cash, but let's just have a quick look at some numbers here, Pip. If we look at these numbers, we see that not so long ago, I think it's back in 2018, if we can put the numbers up on the screen, 2012, 60% of transactions were still cash. Obviously, a lot of it's used cars back in 2012. Last year, these are numbers from UK Finance, a highly regarded industry body. We're now on 30% of transactions only using cash. By 2035, at this rate, it will be less than 10%. And since 2018, over 20% of ATMs have closed, and many more closed before that.
Yeah.
So what is driving this dash away from cash? It's basically business costs. It's expensive to handle cash. There's security issues handling cash, though, crikey, there are security issues with online cash as well. And we're concerned here at GB News about people who aren't so tech-savvy, older people. Think of the elderly person who's driving into a market town and they want to park and they can't put a few quid in the machine so they can park. They've got to download one of many, many apps onto their smartphone. There may not be Wi-Fi to do the download. They end up just getting a ticket. This is happening all the time.
Yeah. And you've obviously identified the demographic issue, that perhaps it is the older generations. But I guess the other thing is the split between urban and rural constituencies, because there may be, sort of garages out in the sticks that don't have a card reader.
Absolutely.
And they need the cash because they don't have the technology, and it doesn't work anyway because there's no Wi-Fi there.
It's an age thing, Mark. It's an urban-rural thing, as you say. Maybe it's a tech-savvy, less tech-savvy thing. You know, the vast majority of younger people that you're going to meet, say, in the middle of London, of course, they'll be using cards, but that doesn't mean that young people everywhere have smartphones. You know, there are many households in this country, you know, 5 to 10% of households on some definitions, that don't have a bank account. They are the unbanked because banks won't give them an account. They haven't got the credit record or the earnings.
You're not talking about Nigel Farage again?
I'm not talking about Nigel Farage again.
Is it also anything to do with hygiene and the pandemic? Because I know in my case, that's when I stopped using cash, not wanting to handle all the notes and coins that have passed through many people's hands.
Well, we were told, weren't we, during the pandemic, one of the many things that we were told, that we should avoid using cash if we can. And that certainly led to an explosion in online shopping, and it certainly accelerates an existing trend away from cash. You saw the numbers there. We were up 60% of transactions were in cash as recently, you know, little more than 10 years ago, and obviously that's changed. So I think the pandemic changed just in the way it's probably changed working from home forever. It's also changed how we use cash forever. But this was this was adding to a trend that was already there, I think.
Now, the other thing that people have observed, that is, if you're not using cash, are you actually spending more? Because you're not acknowledging what's going on with the card until you get that, bill at the end of the month when your debit card or credit card statement comes through.
Definitely true. Definitely true. Countless surveys show this. People spend more freely when they're just going zzz with their card. And that, rather than if you go out and you've got 20 quid in your wallet, that's what you spend that night.
So the retail industry is not going to actually sort of discourage that, are
No,
they?
the retail industry loves it. The Treasury loves it. It gets the economy moving. It generates more tax.
And it is easier to budget with cash, isn't it?
It is easier to budget.
The whole thing about
you go out with 20 quid in the back of your jeans pocket and that's your beer money for the night. And if you buy some beers for
That's 2 pints.
Yeah, it is now. I'm taking you back to my youth.
Yeah, double diamond.
And if you were posing at the bar and you bought a round of drinks, that meant less for you, unless you very demonstrably went away from the crowd, walked to wherever it was to get more cash out. That was a real sort of statement. Oh, I'm spending more than I thought I was going to spend. So it's partly about spending. It's also about what we call rather, let me use this phrase, surveillance capitalism. The idea that we are the product. Everything we buy, everywhere we go, all our consumer behaviour can then be sold on to third parties without our consent. If you're getting something for free, there's usually a catch, and the catch is that we are the product. And
if we get to 100,000, and this goes to a parliamentary debate, is also one of the questions...
I think that's nailed on. I think that's happen, yeah.
But will one of the questions be, you are offering legal tender, so are people actually within their rights to saying, no, we don't accept cash, we're not going to accept cash, because you are offering legal tender for that?
This is the issue. You'll go to some trendy sort of fast food restaurants now, and they say, oh, we're spending all our time making your chicken perfect, rather than counting cash, i.e. we are refusing to take legal tender, so our cost base is lowered because we don't have to visit the bank, we don't have the security. I'm not sure about the legalities of refusing cash. I do think it's not a criminal issue, it's probably a civil issue, but we need to drill down into that, because just as you get some people say, I only take cash, I think that's completely fine. I don't think it's legally fine to say we don't take cash. And that's where I think the GB News petition is going to lead to a debate in Parliament about that, as well as the much broader issue of those without smartphones, those who aren't tech savvy. It's very similar to the idea of people who suffer from what's called the digital divide. The House of Lords Communications Select Committee...
We're trying to do their banking online, for instance.
Did a report on exactly that. They asked me to give evidence. I was privileged to give evidence as a GB News business and economics editor. And we learnt from that around 10% of households, right, they're not on the internet at all. Which is unbelievable. And that's not just an older person thing, though 2/3 of people over 65 aren't on the internet, right? I mean, there are a third of them that are, the so-called silver surfers, but lots of them aren't. But also, if you're a youngster in a home without the internet, it's really hard to do your homework these days when you can't email the teacher. You don't hand in homework now, you email it to the teacher. What about if you've got no Wi-Fi in your house? So it's all ends of the age spectrum.
For me also, actually, and it sounds a silly reason, but preferring cash, I remember when I was a kid, your grandparents would put money in your Christmas card, £5, £10,
well, just imagine life without
now
cash.
it goes into your bank account, and it's not the same joy.
How can you tip a waiter or waitress and be sure that they get that money? You can't. If a busker's playing music and you just want to chuck a quid into the guitar case, all that's gone. As you say, Pip, grandparents slipping a little bit of money into the hands of the grandchildren, money in birthday cards, coins at the end of your stocking. All these traditions that are surrounded by physical cash, they are all now in jeopardy.
10 bob note, remember those? You were a rich man for a 10 bob note, I tell you. Let's speak now